This tourtière pie I'm showing you today is actually a perfect recipe to make for Christmas time, and it comes from the Quebec province in Canada. Now, traditionally, game meat like venison was used in these pies, but it's not the cup of tea for everybody, right? So I'll be making it with something else. We'll take a look at the ingredients in a little bit, but I'm gonna be going away from the traditional pie format. I'll be making these turnover styles, and it's just way more fun, I think. You can make it the traditional pie style if you want, but this turnover style is really something that I enjoy having. It's something a bit different. Now, the ingredients are pretty basic, but that's because when it was originally created a long time ago, it was meant to be as part of a poor person's diet. But like over time, it has had like a renaissance where it's now a traditional Christmas dish. And the warm spices in here, the herbs, really make it ideal for this time of the year. So we start with our pan with some olive oil and our yellow onions, which we'll saute until they have softened. About 10 minutes, and then you can add in your meat, which in this case is a mix of beef and pork. You want to cook that until all the pink has been removed and just break any large chunks, and then we can add in all of our spices. So here we have some dried sage, thyme, bay leaf, white and black pepper, cinnamon, ground cloves, and some ground nutmeg as well. Add that in, mix it up, let that get nice and fragrant, and after a couple of minutes, add in your boiled and roughly mashed potatoes. I'm also going to add in some better than bouillon paste, chicken flavored, and that's not traditional of course, but I just love the way that chicken bouillon plays with red meat, and it's going to be delicious here as well. So a spoonful of that along with some water and then some salt. Just let all these flavors meld together now. Those potatoes, I'm gonna break them down, and you can leave them in small chunks, but what I like to do from my tests is to mash it into much smaller pieces, because I feel when they absorb a lot of the moisture, they're more dense in the meat mixture, so they're more widely spread around the meat, so it just keeps everything nice and juicy, protects the meat from drying out, and it just works really well. And once it has melded together, then add in just a touch of maple syrup. That adds that hint of sweetness to play with all the other savory components. Now just mix it, taste it, and adjust for salt and pepper as needed. You want to let this cool down now, and let's take a look at our pie dough for now. Now I have made this pie dough and use it for pie crust in a number of recipes by now, namely my Belizean meat pies and more recently my banana cream pies. So you can check the full recipe there, but it's just a mix of some shortening, some flour, some baking powder, and some salt. Very easy, very convenient, and it always works with a lot of these dishes I've been coming up with recently. So one full recipe of that pie crust will give you 4 large meat pies or tourtières, turnover style. I'm going to cut that pie crust into 4 pieces and roll out each of them into an oval shape. Then on one side, on the longer side, add in a quarter of that meat mixture, and then fold the pastry over and then seal the edges by just lightly pressing down. You can crimp the edges with the tines of a fork, but I just left it untouched to just keep it a bit more rustic. Now it's gonna be very hard to overstuff it. Essentially, if you can't close it, then you did a bit too much. Remove some of that meat, use it in something else if you've run out of pie dough, or just put it on the pie. So now that it's all nicely sealed, and I've done the same with the other portions, here's a quick egg wash. 1 egg, a bit of water, and a quick whisk, and then you just brush that on every one of those pies. Now be careful not to have any lumps or clumps of the egg mixture in one spot. You don't want this to turn into a burnt omelette. So just a nice thin layer on the tops. Then we'll cut 3 slits over the top. That's gonna help let any excess steam escape, and it'll prevent it from puffing up. We don't want that pie crust to essentially tear and bubble up. These will now go in an oven that was preheating in the convection setting at 375 Fahrenheit. This recipe is part of the hashtag Christmas Dishes collaboration. So if you want to see some other great Christmas themed recipes, then check out everybody else who are participating in this YouTube collab. And it should take you roughly 35 to 40 minutes for the pies to become golden brown, crispy and crusty, just like these. Now usually for pie, I would say let it cool down slightly, especially if you made it in a pie dish, but these you can enjoy piping hot right away. So I'm serving it with a very light salad with a nice homemade Dijon dressing. And just take a look at how great that looks inside and how crispy the exterior looks as well. These spices that we did put, it just did wonders, and I'm definitely planning on making this next week again. But essentially after I was done recording, I took another slice, but then I ended up finishing that entire pie because it was just that good. I want to wish you happy holidays. If you're making this for Christmas, Merry Christmas. And for more holiday themed recipes and drinks, check out the links and the playlist down below.